Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, and fellow travelers on the road of purpose, I stand before you today to discuss a principle that is as ancient as it is powerful. Never react if someone hurts you. When someone causes you pain or offends you, it can feel like their actions define the moment. In reality, what shapes your future is not what they've done to you, but how you choose to respond. We all face situations where others hurt us, whether through words, actions, or even neglect. In those moments, it's tempting to react immediately, to defend ourselves, or to lash out in anger. But if we allow our emotions to dictate our response, we give the other person power over our future. A reaction is often impulsive and emotional, driven by the heat of the moment. And that's where the danger lies. By reacting without thinking, you're not acting from a place of strength or wisdom, but from a place of vulnerability and hurt. What you do in those moments can either propel you forward or set you back. When you react out of emotion, you often create more conflict, more pain, and more issues to deal with. You lose sight of your long-term goals and get entangled in a temporary problem. On the other hand, when you respond thoughtfully, you are taking back control of the situation. You are deciding that your future, your peace of mind, and your purpose are more important than the immediate satisfaction of reacting to an offense. In essence, the power lies not in what the other person has done, but in how you handle it. This principle is critical because your life is the sum of your decisions. Each decision you make either moves you closer to or further away from your destiny. How you choose to respond in moments of pain and offense has a ripple effect on your future. If you react hastily, you may damage relationships, close doors to opportunities, or even compromise your integrity. However, if you respond with wisdom, grace, and self-control, you not only preserve your character, but you also keep yourself aligned with your higher purpose. You stay on course toward your goals. What the other person has done is outside of your control, but how you respond is entirely within your control. And that response shapes the path you will walk. Will you let a moment of pain derail your future, or will you use it as a stepping stone to greater strength, maturity, and success? Reaction and response are often confused, but they are fundamentally different in how they affect your life. When someone offends or hurts you, your reaction is typically immediate and emotional, while your response is deliberate and measured. Reaction is instinctual. It happens in the heat of the moment, driven by emotions like anger, frustration, or fear. It's often based on the need for self-defense or retaliation, a desire to show them we won't tolerate mistreatment. But what we fail to realize is that reacting is the equivalent of surrendering control. When you react, you're allowing the actions of others to dictate your behavior. It means they are controlling not just the situation, but also your mindset, your emotions, and ultimately your future. To respond, on the other hand, is to take back that control. A response requires thought. It gives you the chance to step back, assess the situation, and then decide what course of action aligns with your values and long-term goals. In responding, you retain your power. You make a choice based on your principles, not based on the hurtful actions of another person. This is where the shift in power happens. In reaction, you give the other person influence over your emotions and actions. In response, you reclaim your authority and act according to your own wisdom and strength. Think of it this way: when someone lashes out at you, they are trying to provoke a reaction. It's like they're pulling you into their emotional storm. But by choosing to respond instead of react, you remain anchored, grounded in your own sense of purpose and self-worth. You maintain your inner peace, even when someone else is trying to disturb it. Reaction is weakness disguised as strength. Response is true strength. Choosing to respond, not react, helps you maintain clarity about what truly matters. It keeps you focused on your long-term goals rather than the temporary discomfort of the moment. By responding thoughtfully, you are not letting anyone or anything divert you from the path you are meant to walk. In this way, response becomes a powerful tool, not just for handling conflict, but for building a life that reflects your highest values and aspirations. Your emotional energy is one of your most valuable resources, and how you manage it directly influences your ability to fulfill your purpose. Every person has a finite amount of emotional energy to spend each day. When you allow yourself to react impulsively to hurt, offense, or provocation, you're expending that energy on something temporary and ultimately unproductive. Wasting emotional energy on conflict distracts you from what truly matters in your life, your goals, your growth, and your higher calling. Instead of using that energy to advance your purpose, you're allowing it to be drained by situations that don't contribute to your progress. Imagine your emotional energy as fuel for a vehicle. Every time you react in anger or frustration to someone hurting you, you are burning fuel that could have been used to take you further along the road toward your dreams. Once that fuel is spent, it's gone, and you're left with less to power you toward your real destination. The problem is, most of us don't realize how much energy we're wasting until we're emotionally exhausted, struggling to move forward in our own lives, because we've let too many external situations deplete us. When you guard your emotional energy, you protect your ability to focus on what's truly important. This doesn't mean you ignore when someone hurts you, but it means choosing not to let their actions consume your mental and emotional bandwidth. You make a conscious decision not to give them more power than they deserve over your thoughts and feelings. Instead of engaging in a draining cycle of reaction and retaliation, you conserve your energy for the battles that truly matter, the ones that advance your purpose, deepen your relationships, and strengthen your character. Mastering this is a skill. It requires the ability to pause, to take a step back, and to recognize when someone's actions are pulling you away from your path. It's about learning to detach emotionally from situations that don't serve your growth. By protecting your emotional energy, you ensure that you always have enough reserve to invest in your future, in your passions, and in becoming the best version of yourself. The more you master this, the more progress you will see in your life, because you are no longer letting petty conflicts or temporary offenses derail you from your ultimate purpose. Forgiveness is often misunderstood as a sign of weakness or passivity, but in truth, it is one of the greatest demonstrations of strength. When someone hurts you, the natural human response is to hold on to the offense, to seek justice or even revenge. However, these reactions come from a place of emotional vulnerability. True power lies in the ability to forgive, to rise above the offense, and to release the burden of resentment. Forgiveness is not about excusing the wrong that was done to you. It's about freeing yourself from the emotional chains that bind you to that hurt. When you forgive, you regain control over your own heart and mind. The person who hurt you may have moved on, but if you hold on to the pain, you're the one who continues to suffer. Resentment is like a heavy weight that drags you down, making it harder for you to move forward in life. It occupies mental space that could be used for more productive, positive things. In holding on to unforgiveness, you're allowing the person who hurt you to continue to influence your emotions and thoughts long after the offense has occurred. But when you forgive, you break that power. You reclaim your peace of mind and emotional balance. There is also great wisdom in forgiveness, because it recognizes that people often act out of their own brokenness, their own pain. Hurt people hurt others, and sometimes the person who harmed you did so because they themselves are struggling with issues you may not even be aware of. Understanding this doesn't justify their behavior, but it helps you see the situation with more compassion and less anger. Forgiving someone does not mean you have to reconcile with them or allow them back into your life. It simply means you are choosing to release the grip their actions have on your heart. Forgiveness is a choice, a deliberate act of your will. It is the decision to prioritize your own peace and future over the offense that has been done to you. When you forgive, you're not doing it for the other person, you're doing it for yourself. You are choosing to let go of the past in order to embrace the possibilities of the future. In this way, forgiveness is an act of strength and self-empowerment, positioning you to move forward with clarity, purpose, and emotional freedom. Hurt people hurt others. This simple truth reveals a profound insight into human behavior. Often, the people who cause you pain are acting out of their own unresolved hurt and brokenness. When someone lashes out at you, betrays you, or wounds you in some way, it's easy to take their actions personally, to feel as though their hurtful behavior is a reflection of your worth. But in many cases, their behavior has far more to do with their internal struggles than anything about you. Reacting to their hurt only perpetuates the cycle of pain. When you retaliate, you engage in the same destructive pattern, spreading the very hurt that wounded you. Understanding that hurt people hurt others can change your entire perspective on offense. Instead of seeing the person as an enemy or antagonist, you begin to see them as someone who is likely carrying unseen burdens. They may be projecting their pain onto you because they don't know how to deal with it in a healthy way. This realization doesn't excuse their behavior, but it does help you approach the situation with more compassion and less anger. It reminds you that their actions are a reflection of their inner turmoil, not your value. When you choose not to react to the hurt, you break the cycle. Instead of responding with anger, bitterness, or revenge, you can approach the situation from a place of understanding and empathy. This doesn't mean you allow yourself to be mistreated or that you condone harmful behavior, but it means you refuse to let their pain dictate your response. You rise above the situation, choosing to act from a place of strength and emotional maturity, rather than allowing yourself to be pulled into their storm. By not reacting, you protect your own peace and well-being. You prevent yourself from becoming entangled in someone else's unresolved issues. More importantly, you stop the cycle of pain from continuing. If hurt people hurt others, then healed people can help heal others. When you respond to offense with grace, understanding, and emotional intelligence, you demonstrate a higher way of living. You model what it means to be whole, to rise above, and to create a path of healing rather than conflict. In choosing not to react to the hurt inflicted on you, you not only guard your own heart, but you also become a source of strength and healing in the lives of others. Instead of contributing to the spread of pain, you offer an alternative one that's rooted in understanding, compassion, and wisdom. Elevate, don't escalate. In moments of conflict or offense, the natural human tendency is to escalate meaning, to match or even exceed the intensity of the negative actions directed toward us. When someone hurts you, insults you, or wrongs you, the instinct is to hit back, to ensure they feel the same level of pain or worse. But escalation only leads to more harm, deeper wounds, and a cycle that spirals out of control. Choosing to elevate rather than escalate allows you to rise above the situation and protect your peace, dignity, and future. When you elevate, you make a conscious decision to operate from a higher plane of thinking, a place where your emotions don't control your actions. Elevation requires maturity, patience, and self-control. It's about seeing the bigger picture and recognizing that your response in the moment isn't just about right now. It's about who you are becoming and what kind of life you're building. To escalate may provide short-term satisfaction, but it ultimately damages your character, your relationships, and your emotional well-being. Elevation is a choice to prioritize your personal growth over momentary gratification. It's about asking yourself, will my reaction make me better or bitter? Will this action take me closer to or further away from the person I want to be? By elevating your response, you rise above the pettiness and emotional chaos that so often accompany offense. You shift the narrative from one of conflict to one of self-mastery and wisdom. In practical terms, elevating means responding with grace when grace isn't deserved, with kindness when kindness hasn't been shown, and with calmness in the face of provocation. It's not about being passive or ignoring what has happened. It's about refusing to lower yourself to the level of those who choose hurtful behavior. You become the one in control, not of the other person. but of yourself, your emotions, and your future. This path of elevation doesn't just impact the present moment, it sets the tone for how you handle every challenge in life. When you practice elevating in moments of offense, you train yourself to respond to all difficulties with strength and clarity. You begin to create a life where you're no longer reacting to external circumstances, but shaping your future with intentionality and wisdom. Escalation might feel like a win in the short term, but in the long term, elevation is what takes you higher personally, emotionally, and spiritually. Silence speaks louder than words. In a world where everyone seems eager to have the last word, silence can be one of the most powerful responses you can give when hurt or offended. It takes incredible strength to remain silent when everything inside you is screaming for a reaction. The need to defend yourself, explain your side, or retaliate often feels overwhelming, but choosing silence in those moments demonstrates wisdom and self-control that far surpasses any spoken words. Silence doesn't mean weakness or agreement with the offense. It's an act of restraint and maturity. By remaining silent, you communicate that you are not ruled by your emotions or the actions of others. You're showing that your peace and purpose are too valuable to be disrupted by momentary conflict. This silence is not passive, it is an active decision to refrain from engaging in the negativity that others are trying to pull you into. You are, in effect, standing above the situation, refusing to give it more attention or energy than it deserves. Sometimes, the most powerful statements aren't made with words. In the midst of an argument or conflict, silence can be deafening. It shows that you don't need to lower yourself to the level of the person attacking you. Silence can be a mirror, reflecting the other person's behavior back to them without adding to the noise. Often the lack of a reaction causes the other person to stop and reflect on their own actions because they are no longer met with resistance. In silence, you maintain your dignity and control. Words spoken in anger or frustration often lead to regret because they come from a place of emotional imbalance. But when you choose silence, you create space for clarity, for reflection, and for wisdom to guide your next steps. Silence gives you time to think before you act, ensuring that when you do respond, it comes from a place of strength, not weakness. It also gives the other person time to reconsider their words or actions, as they are met with calm instead of confrontation. There is a profound message in silence. It says, as I am not defined by this moment, it allows you to detach from the immediate need for validation or victory, and instead maintain focus on the larger picture, your growth, your peace, and your purpose. In choosing silence, you choose yourself over the temporary satisfaction of engaging in conflict. Focus on your purpose, not the pain. In moments of hurt or offense, it's easy to get consumed by the emotional intensity of the situation. Pain demands attention. It pulls at your thoughts, weighs on your heart, and can dominate your mind if you let it. However, when you choose to focus on your purpose instead of the pain, you make a conscious decision to rise above the situation and not let it derail your journey. Every time someone hurts you, there's a choice to be made. Will you allow that pain to control your thoughts and dictate your actions, or will you stay centered on your higher calling? The reality is that pain, if focused on too much, can cloud your vision. It distracts you from what truly matters, pulling you into a cycle of negative emotions and reactions. But your purpose, the reason you're here, the goals you've set, and the impact you're meant to have, those are far more important than any temporary hurt. When you stay focused on your purpose, you shift your perspective. Instead of seeing the hurt as a personal attack, you begin to see it as a challenge, an opportunity to grow and strengthen your resolve. Your purpose is bigger than the offense you've encountered. Pain, no matter how intense, is temporary, but your purpose is enduring. It's what gives your life meaning and direction, and it should always be your anchor in moments of adversity. Focusing on your purpose helps you keep things in perspective. It reminds you that your life is about more than just this moment of hurt. It's about the long-term impact you're striving to make, the legacy you're building, and the person you're becoming. The pain, while real, becomes smaller in the light of your greater mission. It loses its power to control you because you've chosen to focus on something much more significant. When you focus on your purpose, you also begin to see how the pain can serve you. Instead of being something that holds you back, it becomes a tool for growth. Challenges and pain often teach us the most valuable lessons, helping to refine our character, increase our resilience, and deepen our understanding of ourselves and others. But you can only see that if you refuse to let the pain become your focal point. Redirecting your attention from the pain to your purpose allows you to move forward with clarity, strength, and determination. It keeps you on the path toward your destiny, refusing to let temporary setbacks or hurts keep you from fulfilling your greater calling. In life, pain and offense are inevitable, but how we respond defines who we become. Choosing not to react impulsively allows us to preserve our peace, protect our purpose, and rise above the emotional chaos. By responding with wisdom, grace, and self-control, we retain our power and refuse to let others dictate our actions or future. Whether through silence, forgiveness, or focusing on our purpose, we break the cycle of hurt and embrace a higher way of living. Ultimately, our true strength lies not in how we react to hurt, but in how we rise above it.